Okay, you guys, I did it. I recorded how I cut my own hair. Now, let me disclaim it with saying I am a licensed stylist. I paid good money to have that certificate and knowledge, and my scissors are actually really good too. So just know that going into it. But I do cut my own hair, and I am not suggesting that you cut your own. But I know we're kind of in desperate times and desperate measures of need. So if you feel the need that you just can't handle it and you've got to cut your own hair, I'm gonna try to show you how I do mine. I will say this was very difficult to film and explain. I didn't realize how much of it I just do because it's just like a natural instinct and reaction. So to talk through it was hard, and I did it right here. I'm sitting in front of a bedroom window because it's got great natural light. So I didn't have a mirror, and I'm just trying to cut like in front of the camera. So it's gonna be a little bit of a hot mess. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But just finished. This is freshly cut curls who are loving being trimmed and living their best life. And if you want to see how I did it, here you go. Hi. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little nervous about this. I've only done it a couple times, and I have no actual like real rhyme or reason behind it. It's just one of those things that I'm just like, well, that looks like it should be cut. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to explain this well, but I'm gonna do my best to show you. So let's just get to it. This could be a hot mess express. All right, I just co-washed my hair, so it is nice and clean, but it's not dripping. Like, you can't hear it. It's not dripping, it's not soaking wet. It's been wrapped up in the towel for a minute. This is just, I wanted the natural shape without forcing the curl too much, because those of you with curl know that your curls go different every time you do them. At least mine do. Like sometimes, you know, you'll have a fella up here that's super ringlety and the next time he's like wah wah. So I don't like to style it super curly, like crunched up curly when I'm cutting it, because if one curl's having a really good hair day, then it might be shorter than it needs. I just like it more natural, but I don't want it fully air dried because I don't want it frizzy. I want it to be a little bit curly. So that was a really long way to say I washed it, wrapped it up in a microfiber head wrap, and it's been in there for about 20-30 minutes. Wet, not dripping. You can start with dry hair and squirt it with a spray bottle and get it damp. You just want it damp. All right, so here we go. I'm not gonna comb it. I'm just gonna run my hands through just to make sure, because it was wrapped up. These roots are kind of pulled up a little tight. I just want to make sure that it's all down where it's supposed to be, but I could run my fingers through. I'm not going to ruin anything. What are we going to do? We're just going to go full double unicorn, because that's what I do. So I'll show you. I'm going to take all my hair and I'm going to start with the top section. And I'm gonna pull it all up towards the top of my head. And then I'm gonna add in pieces. But when I add in, I'm just taking my fingers to like rake it in and grab it. But when I add it in, I'm purposely making sure it goes underneath the hair. Like I'm trying to stack the hair on top of each other. I don't wanna pull these up in here like that. Does that make sense? It's just a regular ponytail, but you wanna make sure your bottom pieces are actually on the bottom of this ponytail. Flip it all towards the top. And you could do this with a comb or a brush. Again, I'm not worried about getting it super precise. I'm just worried about getting it on the top of my head. If your hair is not long enough, and then put a rubber band in. If your hair is not long enough for this, then just skip this part and do the second part of the double pony. Okay, now I'm gonna comb it. And I'm gonna make sure that the bottom hair, the front pieces are now on the bottom. Middle's in middle, bottom's on top. I'm going to take my shears that I paid a ton of money for. These are not just kitchen shears, but they do need to be sharpened. You can, if you're gonna do this, just be aware that your scissors will make a difference. And I'm gonna take it, and I don't wanna take a ton of length off because this is gonna be kind of my bottom section. I will do the middle for layers, but this is gonna be all the stuff towards the bottom. But I'm gonna flatten this out as wide as I can get it. And I'm gonna put my fingers at an angle, like this, because I wanna cut it so that I'm cutting it up at an angle like that. I don't wanna cut this. Let me try to get it, show you. I'm not gonna cut straight. I'm not gonna cut from bottom towards top of the ponytail. I'm actually gonna do it the other way. Down here, the stuff in the front is gonna be the shortest, and it's gonna angle out that way, like away from my face. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I'll try to attach graphics as well. I'm just gonna get this, spread it all out. Hold my fingers. I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna hold them. Could I do it this way? I'm trying to see how I could do this. Like I said, this is really hard to do it without a mirror and to explain it as I do it, because I usually just cut it because I want it flatter. Okay, so I'm actually, for me, the length of my hair, you guys are gonna think this is ridiculous. I'm just gonna let it kind of sit and cut into it. No, I'm not. This is really difficult to explain. Okay, so I'm gonna section it off because it's gonna be too hard to do this all at once. So I'm gonna take the top section, which is actually the very back of my hair, and put it to the side a little bit. And I'm gonna comb out this bottom section, which is actually the front part of my hair. And I'm gonna spread it out as much as I can. And I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna pull it, and I'm gonna take my scissors and cut it at an angle like this. I took about that much off. See right where I cut it. Now I'm gonna take that top piece and get all of that out. Yes, I'm gonna do the same thing with this top piece, which is actually the bottom of my hair. Comb it, flatten it out as much as possible, spread it out. When I say flatten, I kind of mean spread it out as much as possible. And you can see this is already, I've got some length here on the ends that's it's gonna go. I'm gonna pull it tight. Look, I took quite a bit off that length, but it grows super fast. And now I've got these healthier straight ends. I'm gonna take our ponytail out. We're gonna flip it over, and now we're gonna do the inside. I don't do, hold please. I don't do my front pieces with this. I freehand those. So I'm gonna take those, we'll split this right down the middle. I'm gonna take those out, so everything from my ear, about the top of my ear, forward, I'm not gonna touch. So I'll just make a line, ears forward, they're not gonna get touched. We're gonna leave these front things alone, and I will freehand those later. I'm gonna kind of just twist them off to the side and tuck them behind my ear a little bit. Because what I do wanna work on is all this other stuff. So about, I don't know, arch of your eyebrow. So take your thumbs from about arch of your eyebrow, where you wanna start that hair, and circle around the back of your crown of your hair. I'm going to about right there. So I'm not going too far down. So I've got a good chunk. I hope you can see that, right in there. And I'm gonna comb that all up. You could finger comb this, but I figure I've already started to comb the process, so might as well. Okay, so I gathered all that hair off the crown of my head, leaving the back, leaving the length, leaving the sides and the front. You can put a ponytail, you can put a rubber band in to make it a ponytail at this point, Or you can just kind of comb it all forward. But you're gonna go with that same finger process, which is you want the stuff closest to your face to be the shortest, and the stuff on top, the longest. So I like to hold my fingers at the angle that I want to cut it, except for I'm gonna have to because I cut right-handed. There we go, I'm gonna have to swap them. And I'm like, this looks, I have my hair twisted so this looks straight on, but it's not. If I hold it out, it's at an angle. Does that make sense? So you can figure out what you want your angle to be. Get the angle with your fingers, which for me is about right there, and then twist it flat. You don't have to cut it up at an angle. You can cut it flat as long as you're following your finger guide. So I know that when I release that, this hair isn't gonna be the same length as that hair. I hope that makes sense. That's how I get my layers in my hair. I go through, take just a little bit more off. And that's it. And now we have some layers in it. So now that we've done, let's see it. There's the layer, there's the length. So it's not a ton. I mean, it's a little bit, but it's not a ton. And I'm gonna pull it halfway from the back. I'll pull everything in the back, and this is how I'm gonna check my length. Again, super professional here. I just wing it. I'm pulling it all together, and I'm just kind of checking. Is there anything, like, is it perfect? No. But I would be able to notice if there was something that was hugely off. You know, if you've got inches off, that's gonna make a difference. Like that right there. There we go. That one is off, and I can show you. So when I pull it all, because this stuff, I mean, if I'm going straight back, then you would be able to be like really specific. But just that right there, that's just a tiny bit. And because my hair is curly, you are not gonna even be able to tell. If it was a little bit off, can't tell because it's curly. When I wear it straight, then yes, this haircut turns out to be very, very not even. I'm gonna take my fingers, I'm gonna grab it with those two, and with these two. God, this is so difficult to do without a mirror. And I'm gonna pull them down. Just to see if they're kind of the same. Because you have to pull it out, especially with curly hair. This one feels just the tiniest bit longer. Just a tiny bit. I'm just gonna chop into him. You have to pull it because as it dries and it's curly, you'll have some that shrink up more. Yeah, as long as your fingers, you're going the same speed, they feel about the same. For me, close enough. Okay, now that we have got kind of the base, the perimeter of the hair, and the interior, the layers back here done, I just wanna make sure there's not a big disconnect between the two. So all I'm gonna do is, I didn't do anything these front, so I'm gonna ignore these front pieces, but I'm just gonna grab it a section at a time, just a section of hair, and comb it out, and just look, and make sure, as I fan it out, if I can show you, that there's not any extreme disconnect. So I will just take the scissors and I'm gonna point cut, which is just straight up into it, and just make sure that this short one and this one, like, it all flows together. Take another section of hair. Again, this isn't very precise. It is just kind of a do it and make it work. But I'm just combing it through. And like you can see, can you see on this one? How I've got one here and then it's kind of like really long right through there. Can you see those at all? It's a little hard to tell, but I'm just gonna cut into these. because I want to blend point A to point B. Kind of a seamless thing and not have A here and B here and have it be like B, A. I want it to, I'm just connecting the dots. That's a good way to put it. I'm connecting the dots. The shortest piece to the longest piece, I'm connecting the dots without just cutting straight up into it. The back is the hardest. I'm not gonna lie, this is a little more difficult. But I'm gonna attempt it. Comb it all out. Because it should be long enough that I can, if I comb it straight back, then I can kind of twist it to see. It is barely long enough for me to do this. Another way you could do it is you could lift it up. If your hair was short enough, you could just pull it straight back like this and look there. But I had to pull my arm clear back. I guess I could still do that. That still kind of works. See that now? This is not the easiest. Okay, we're gonna ignore the front pieces. Grab another side for a layer check. We're gonna comb it all out. Tuck this behind so I can actually see. There we go. See, the bottom is here and this one's way up there. So I'm just gonna kind of cut into that a little bit just to make point A to B a little more coherent. And again, once you have your hair pulled where it needs to be, then you can like bend it. I don't have to pull it straight out and cut it that way. I can bend all this stuff because I've got a tight grip down here. If I didn't have this pulled tight, you wouldn't want to like pull it tight and then loose and tight. Does that make sense? You want to pull it as tight as you can to your spot, and then you can loosen this up because I'm pinching this. My fingers have a really tight snap. I'm holding the hair between my knuckle and the finger. You don't want to go past your knuckle because then you'll get a little dent in it. Not that with this haircut it's super precise and would matter, but I'm just pinching them between those two and pulling really tight and holding tightly with my fingers. Ooh, look at that. That's a good chunk. Can you see that? How it's here and then it goes to here. And those down together. I think that's it. I feel good about that. We've done bottom, we've done middle, and we've blended everything together. Now let's get the front wet and do the front. Okay, last part. I went and got my hair wet. I just ran it under cold water. And I'm gonna take a little bit of this unknot detangler just because it gives a little bit of slip when I'm combing and cutting. And it'll be helpful when the curls are shrinking up. And then I'm gonna take a wide tooth comb and I'm gonna flip my head over and I'm gonna comb that through to encourage the curls to clump in their natural pattern. Because what I'm gonna do here is just trim them where they look dead, where they look like they need it. Comb it all forward. Make sure I get everything. Get the front, get the sides, and then I'm gonna scrunch it. Again, just to get those natural clumps. You could even, I still have my towel. I could even take my towel and do like the paper towel trick to just encourage whatever it's naturally gonna do. A little squishy.
Now I'm just gonna take my scissors and I'm just looking at it, like I'm literally looking at the hair, and any ends that look like they need a little snip, I just cut. I again, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I don't take a ton off, but you'll be able to see. And I try to not do too thick of a piece, like I'm not taking a whole section. I'm trying to, if you need to shake it out to get more individual curls and clumps, I'm trying to do actual little clumps. But that's all I do. I'm just trimming pieces that look like they could use some love. The most I usually take off is, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches. Pull him out. You can cut at an angle, you can cut straight, you can point cut into it. I've kind of found with my own hair, it doesn't matter too much. I just want to make sure that all the little ends are getting some love. Have any more in here? Kind of shake them a little loose from each other. Yep, there's one that came out right there. Oh, there's one. The up front, yep, right there. That one. And how do I know what they look like if they need a cut? I probably should have showed you before I cut all of them. Let me see if I can find one. Do I have any over here that haven't been cut? That one a little bit. Okay. So look at, can you see that curl? Is it hard? Can you tell it all? In there, the very end of him kind of starts to split out a little bit. I'm just cutting that off. Now could it be, if my hair wasn't wet, that could merely be, you know, some of those pieces are starting to dry. But because my hair, I just got it soaking wet, anything that's starting to fray out at the ends, I know is just needs a little trim off of him. And again, if you're worried about getting too much, just barely take any. Take a teeny tiny trim. I don't recommend going in and going ham sandwich and taking inches off. Even if you're like, ooh, it's frayed up 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Well, just take a little bit off the ends and see if that helps. If you get it styled and you're like, nope, it needed more, take a little bit more. With hair, you can always take more, but you can't replace what you've done. So if you cut too much, you're just screwed. But if you don't cut enough, you can always go back and cut more. Okay, I think that's it. I feel like I got, that's more than I wanted to take off that fella, but he needed it. I feel like I got all the hairs. I feel like all my ends look nice and fresh.
Style this. There I am. Let me style it.